What's up, everybody? We are live. My name is Fitz. I am the host of the Let's Argue podcast. This is my channel. And tonight, we are going to be talking about Black masculinity. That's right. We're going to be talking about Black masculinity and why are Black men losing? Okay. Why are Black men losing? We're going to get into it. But announcements before we get the stream going. So I am going to be posting more content more often, so you can be on the lookout throughout the week. There's going to be more clips, there's going to be more skits, there's going to be more dialogue, more conversations. Also, you can start following me on @skits by Fitz on Instagram. My information is let's see. Yeah, my information will be on the background, but @skits by Fitz on Instagram, same thing on TikTok, and on Facebook, it's the Let's Argue podcast. So go follow me on social media and you can get behind the scenes. I do workouts, keep you updated throughout the day, share information on what's going on in the Black community, commentary, all that great stuff. But tonight's going to be a fun conversation. One of the reasons why I enjoy having this conversation around Black masculinity is because it's one of those things where we're in a weird place with Black masculinity right now. On the macro level, there's kind of an attack on masculinity as a whole, regardless of your racial background, right? There's an attack on masculinity. There's discussion, dialogue around what it is to be masculine, what's healthy masculine, what's toxic masculine, and what role masculinity plays in the broader society. And so this week, we're going to be talking about masculinity in terms of, just some examples that have played out in the Black community over the last couple of days, particularly Terrance Howard and Cam Newton. Okay, Terrance Howard and Cam Newton. Some interesting things have happened over the last week or so, and we are going to dive deep into it. And at any time, you can join the panel by clicking the link in the comment section. That's right. You can click the link in the comment section if you want to come up and join the panel, join the discussion. I'll present some questions along with the co-host, Ty, present some questions, and then, come up. You can agree, disagree. We can have a debate, or, ideally a debate. I don't want to sound like an echo chamber. That's why I started the channel, is just to get different perspectives and challenge and things like that. Make conversations interesting. Okay, so let's get into it. All right. Black masculinity. Now, I know some people, when they watch my channel, they get confused or they get uncomfortable because they say, well, why are you talking about race and racism? Why can't you just talk about everybody? Why do you have to include race in it? One, because I've always been interested in racism, not from the perspective of being a victim, but just how it operates and how, different things come about because of the categories that were here before I was born, right? Let's be straight here. Race, racism, black, white, those things existed before I got here on this earth, and they'll be here when I'm long gone. Right. So I didn't make these categories up. People were already categorized into being black, into being white, into being the other races that people are. I just came along and I studied, I did research, and I looked into certain things and noticed that the world is different when it comes to black and white people and other groups of people. And so when I talk about masculinity from the black perspective, understand that I'm talking about black masculinity from the perspective of what role does black masculinity have when it comes to pushing the black community forward. And for me, the question that I want to keep in everyone's mind as you watch this stream is, are black men winning or losing? Right? Are black men winning or losing. All right. So keep that in mind. I'm going to bring the co-host Ty up, and then we're going to get into it.
Yo, my bad.
What up? What up?
Don't sue us for the music.
They going to get us.
Hold on.
How you doing? Looks like you just got out the shower.
Had to wash my hair, man. It was looking all dry. You know, looking dry. I was out all day in the sun today, so clean
what they say.
Some light shit. You feel me?
You know what they're gonna say about you?
What?
They're gonna say, "Oh, that's some light skin stuff."
Man, I ain't trying to hear that stuff, bro.
Every time light skinned people do something, they say, "Oh, that's light skin." And you trim your fingernails. That's light skin. You take a bath. You can't even, as a man, you can't even take a bath nowadays without that getting called into question.
Right. Cut your fingernails. I like to cut my fingernails, man. I don't want them breaking.
Sean in the building, my people. What up, Sean?
Oh, I forgot my intro. Yo, it's your boy Ty. Reach out to me on all the socials, _Wolfwagon, _ your dog training tips and needs. We do behavioral work. We do off-leash training, e-collar training, recall training. We do it all, anything and everything. And tap into the blog. We have a new blog called K9 Chronicles coming out every week. We talk about different tips, different tricks to help you have a better relationship with your pet. Any breed, any age, holla at your boy.
All right, so let's get into it.
Shout out to Sean. I just saw him comment.
Shout out to Sean, yes, sir. All right, so we're gonna get in.
Hey Mo,
we're gonna get into it because a lot has happened over the last week and a half. A lot has happened. The first thing we're gonna cover tonight is Terrance Howard. Terrance Howard, for those of you who don't know, he's the dude in the memes who he keeps saying Maine. Come on, Maine. He's a famous actor. He played in Empire. He claims that because he's black or because he's descendant of slaves, that he should not have to pay taxes. Okay? He should not have to pay taxes. This is what Terrance Howard says. Okay? He is a descendant of slaves, so he should not have to pay taxes. All right? So Terrance Howard, of course, denied owing anything and allegedly threatened to blast the attorney on social media over the lawsuit, but he never brought the issue to the internet streets. However, he did tell the attorney that Black Americans shouldn't pay taxes anyways, and here's why. 400 years of forced labor and never receiving any compensation for it, Terrance Howard said in the message. Now you have the gall to try and prosecute and charge taxes to the descendants of a broken people that you are responsible for causing the breakage. In truth, the entire United States by default, or the entire United States should by default become the property of the descendants of slaves, Howard said. But since you do not have the ability or the courage to do it, let's try this in court. We're going to bring you down. All right.
Court with who?
I'm guessing the IRS. But when you hear that, what do you think? Like, what comes to mind? Like, just off the cuff.
What's his intentions, really? I mean, because why now? Not saying I don't agree with this point, but why now? Why is he saying this now?
Well, that's a great question. So just to give a background, Terrance Howard owes the IRS money, right?
Right.
He earned money and he owes taxes on that money. And he hasn't paid the taxes for years. And so now they're threatening, or they're pretty much going after, like they're pursuing the money that he owes. And he's in his defense saying, I shouldn't have to pay taxes because I'm a descendant of slaves. That's essentially what's going on. So with that context, what do you think?
I mean, I get what he's saying. I understand it from a logical standpoint rather than emotion based, right? I don't think that would ever happen because if we're not going to pay taxes, everybody else going on to pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? So
you think that what he's doing is making a logical argument and not an emotional one?
I think to an extent, I think he's starting to have these conversations with people about this. Obviously, there's emotion tied to it because everything we do has some type of emotion to it. You know, we just don't make decisions purely based off of just making a decision. It's always something tied to it. So I really don't have anything for Terrance Howard, honestly. I mean, it's just kind of a way to get his name popping again, maybe get a movie role. Maybe get some people behind him.
To be clear, this was not a public thing that he did. This was something released. He had this thing privately. Someone else dug into it or whatever. I think maybe found the court records and then released it. This was all private between him and I guess an attorney or someone else. So this wasn't like a publicity stunt. Because he didn't come out and publicly say this. These are things that were released.
Okay.
But
yeah, man, I don't know. That
I think the deeper thing is I think it comes down to accountability versus victim mindset. Because for me, right, even if you're gonna say you think that Black people do not have to pay taxes, okay, you know that that's not how it works though. It's like, to me, it's like he just didn't pay his taxes and now he's looking for an out, or he's trying to play the victim. Like if you're that famous, he said taxes #1 wealth stealer.
Yeah.
They could be, but at the same time, even if you're of the belief that you shouldn't have to pay taxes, that doesn't mean don't pay your taxes and then gather fines and stuff and then have to pay more taxes. Like that's like me being like, you know, I don't feel like I should have to pay sales tax on this, so I'm gonna do something, or I'm gonna steal this back, or like this roundabout way. But it's like he's just gonna lose,
right?
And I don't know, like it's just weird because everyone knows that you have to pay taxes, or like if you don't write it off, there's gonna be this. But to sit there and be like, nah, I'm not paying them because I'm Black and I'm a descendant of slaves. To me, that's kind of reaching.
Well, I think it's weird because, like, I mean, if you want to say, I guess I get what you're saying. Because when I first saw it, I was kind of like, you know, maybe we all pay taxes. Like, ain't nobody getting out of that. But I think for him, you know, move to a state that doesn't have state income tax, right? Because you pay into that too as well. Move there and then take as many tax cuts as you can get to where you can save more money and not have to pay as much money. That would be my thought. I mean, especially being in the rooms that he's in with the money that he has, you would think that would be the smartest idea instead of going with this route.
Well, and here's the thing. It's like this didn't creep up on him. You know, like taxes didn't creep up on him.
What year? Was it 2016? I think it said.
This was. Let me find.
It was recent though.
Yeah, this was recent.
Yeah.
Let me find.
And he owes like what, 5-6 million, I think.
No, it says he has to pay $903,000 for back taxes, interest, and penalty, given that he had reportedly swerved the IRS for about 14 months. Originally, the government was asking Terrance Howard to cough up $578,000 for failing to pay taxes between 2010 and 2019, so almost 10 years, To collect their
Jeez.
claims, the Department of Justice reportedly sued Terrance in 2022, but the Hustle and Flow star never formally responded in court. Listen, okay. I understand the argument of reparations. I understand that there's a lot of Black people that feel like we never got our fair share of the pie when slavery ended and, you know, Jim Crow and all that stuff. But I think there comes a point to where you make yourself look like you're not sincere about the struggles that Black people go through when you pull shit like this. Because this is nonsense. This is like, I show up to Albertsons and go grocery shopping and get to the checkout. Y'all charge it. Y'all, I gotta pay for these groceries. I'm a descendant of slaves. I'm just gonna take them. Who does that? It's like, you knew going into the grocery store you were gonna, you know, like you were gonna pay for these or that they cost money. Just like, you know, when you earn income and things like that, there's taxes that come along with it. Now, if he was having a dispute about how much taxes and stuff like that, that's different. But to just flat out say everyone else pays taxes, but me, I don't need to because I'm a descendant of slaves, and then go as far as all of the land should be given to the or all, you know, like when I hear these types of arguments that really aren't practical and that you can't really see happening and that are in fairy tale land, it makes me question the legitimacy of some of the claims that people make. Like, I'm all for Black people rising up and getting this, but I think it hurts more than helps when things are just so far out there that you can't make them practical.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I would expect more from him just purely based off of, you know, his success. And yeah, you can hop on live, bro.
Hop on.
his
The link
success.
is in the comments for anyone that wants to hop on. Click that link and you could come up.
It's just his success and the things that he's achieved, you would expect more. But then again, it goes back to making us look like a bunch of monkeys in a circus.
Well, and that's a great point. Another thing is this. It's like that's going to be the headline, right? It's like, that's what the people that are fighting for reparations, like really in the struggle fighting, their fight is going to be muddled over with this. Like, see, look how crazy they've gone. Look how far gone they are, right? You know, it's like, if we're going to fight for it, at least get the legislation passed first and then start talking like that. Like, he's talking very entitled, like he just discovered there are taxes and now all of a sudden he's a Black person and shouldn't pay taxes. Nah. He probably votes Democrat, and we know how Democrats want to socialize everything and will pay you this and pay you that. So it's like he's likely, just like a lot of other Black people, voting for the party that is all about redistribution of wealth and things like that. So it's just interesting. And that's just my speculation. I don't know how he votes and stuff like that, but that's just my speculation.
But I think he came out and said he's a Democrat one time. When this whole Trump thing, I think he supported Biden.
And another thing is this, that's interesting. Okay. If so, Terrance Howard, he's talking about being a descendant of slaves and almost sounding like an activist, but did a TV show called Empire that glorified a lot of the negative stereotypes that exist within the Black community. He didn't have a good relationship with his baby mama, or, you know, whatever. He multiple women, all that stuff. He had kids, you know, like I don't know. From what I watched of it, it didn't look like he was a good father to his kids at certain points. And then he was participating in them pushing the LGBTQ community agenda on Black people within that show.
Okay, gotcha.
There's just a lot of things that seem contradicting. But then when you want to pull out the race card, now you're this deep thinker about race and you shouldn't have to pay taxes. And bruh, you got behind on your taxes. You didn't want to pay them. Why do you have to bring this other stuff into it? That's just where I have a problem with it, because I think it muddies down the actual work that's being done in the community.
Mm-hmm. And it triggers a lot of people. I mean, all the comments that we've been getting on, some of your channel, some of your videos on your channel, I could see why people are saying the things that they are at times, because stupid stuff like this comes out. Not saying they have points, but their intentions behind it make sense to why it's such a wildfire with the things that they are saying. And when I seen it, I'm just like, come on, bro. Like, I'm a youngin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a youngin. You should know. You should be teaching us how to maneuver the things that we're going through. I would expect more from you being an OG to handle your business the way you need to handle it. Because ain't nobody getting out of paying taxes, bro. Ain't no way. You can go for however long you want to, but they don't keep track 100%. Like, bro, you evaded the IRS for almost 10 years, bro. That's crazy. That's wild.
We got Sean in the building.
Yo,
what's up?
What's going on, fellas? How's everyone doing?
Not much, just chilling, Another Friday night. How you doing?
Yes. I'm all right. I'm driving to my office. I had a lot of back roads, and I didn't want to log on earlier because I'd have been choppy. I'd have been chopped and screwed. My voice. I wanted to make sure I was consistent. I didn't want to make nobody mad at me for going in and out.
What do you think about what we're talking about in terms? Because I saw your comments about him, I guess, being justified in not paying taxes because he's a descendant of slaves. What are your thoughts on that?
So you said, I agree with the part you said legally we all gotta pay taxes on that side. That's we all on some level have to pay some form of taxes. That's not a policy. Oh, that's not a policy. That's not a law yet to say that we can't or don't have to pay. So, like, to just wake up one day and be like, I don't have to pay without going through the proper channels, that's foolish. That doesn't make logical sense. So in that part, I agree. Right? That's just like we can't do that. Like, as I always say to people, like, yo, they can hear us. So when we talk crazy, they can hear us. All that foolishness, they see it and they hear it, and they judge all of us off the foolishness that the few say. We all get judged from all that stuff. So we can't do stuff like that. What I was saying was on a I don't know what type of level, but just on a different type of level, what he's trying to say to me is what I agree with a form of reparations, which is to alleviate Black people taxes, whether it be indefinite, whether it be for a certain amount of years or whatever that is. Because, like I typed, taxes is the biggest wealth stealer. But what I mean is, you can't, and not you, but we can't build wealth and pay taxes. That's not how that works. It's we're going to keep doing what we're doing, or we want to pay taxes, but two things can't be true. So how do we build? How do you build wealth? You have to control your taxes. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I'm gonna push back on that, because you can build wealth and pay taxes at the same time, because there are people who they invest in, like, the stock market, 401k, and they pay taxes on their capital gains, or they pay taxes while they're like from their job. They pay taxes from the income they make on their job, and then that gets invested. The money that they put into their retirement accounts and such forth. And you yourself, when you sell properties or you purchase properties, you pay property taxes and things like that. So, and those are wealth builders for you. So what do you mean when you say you can't build wealth and pay taxes at the same time?
And that's a great question or a great pushback. What I mean by that is like, like you said, so capital gains is a form of taxes, but that's why I'm a proponent of being a business owner. So there's a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he has a second book, perfect, and there's a second book called Cash Flow Quadrant. And if you all haven't read that one, I recommend both of them. But specifically, Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first one that really opened up my thoughts, and then Cash Flow Quadrant was the one that was like, man, this is the practical. This gonna sound redundant. The practical practice of what he was saying in Rich Dad Poor Dad. So Cash Flow Quadrant is what I follow in like today, 2024. Sean is an employee. Okay, so I have a company. I'm BW. Let's say it's a real company, but let's say BW Acquisitions. That's my company. I started it through Maryland. It's an LLC. That's mine. The first thing that I did was I hired Sean. So BW Acquisitions hired Sean. So what does that mean? That means on the cash flow quadrant, it's like a cross. And then on the top left is E for employee, and that's people who work a W-2 job. The bottom left is an S for self-employed. That's for people that own a job, or real estate agents, doctors, dentists, people who own their job. On the right side of the quadrant is B, business owner. That's like Jeff Bezos, people who own a system. And then at the bottom right, it's called it's an investor for I. That's people like Warren Buffett, who their money makes money. That's how they earn. So when I say Sean Sean is an employee, I'm an E. I work for me. So I pay myself every week. I pay myself $12 an hour. That's the lowest I can pay myself in Maryland, and still qualify for a car, and still qualify for a house, and still qualify, which isn't, it don't matter. The math don't math. Side note, which is foolish. But I'm saying this for the purpose of our conversation. Now, Sean is I'm a S2. I'm self-employed because I work for myself. So I get up, I go to my office, I go and walk properties, I make offers. So I pay myself on the E. I do the deeds on the S side. On those two sides of the quadrant, that's the highest tax bracket. A lot of times the E, those of us who have jobs with 35% to 40%, those of us who are in the S quadrant, all the way up to 51%, 54% in California for self-employment taxes. So I'll stop there. Logically, somebody who lives in California who's self-employed, they're paying the government 51% of their money. So you can't build wealth. That's not mathematically possible. Now, when you talk about earned income, that's
so when you say you can't build wealth, right? To me, wealth is assets, right? So if you're saying if you make $10 million and the government takes $5 million, you're saying you can't take $5 million and build wealth with that.
You can, but that's not the numbers. The numbers don't bear that out. The numbers don't bear that out, that people that earn high incomes build wealth. They're just high employees. Picture your basketball players. Your sports players.
Building wealth can be a choice in actions too, because in the example I gave, what I'm saying is like, okay, if you make the 10 million and let's say you don't want to, and then they take 50%, you're right. Maybe you don't take the full 5 million and do it, but let's say that you take half, you live off of $2.5 million that year or whatever, which is, I think, more than enough money for somebody to live off of. But you're saying you couldn't take the remainder 2.5 million and invest that in the stock market and get 10% on your money every single, or like over a long period of time, or the next 10 years get an average of 10%, and that wouldn't be building wealth?
I'm saying it's possible on paper, but I'm saying in practice that's not what's being at least for Black Americans, that's not the numbers. The numbers don't support people. One, we don't earn a lot of money on that quadrant. So we're not even in that part where we earn millions. That's not a real thing. That's fake. And people say, and not saying you, I'm talking about logically. But what I'm saying
median
is
income is around 50,000.
Right. So what I'm saying is like people who, for me, the financial literacy part in our community is lacking. So what a lot of times in Maryland, the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, so there's a lot of high earning people. There's the federal government in DC. There's the NSA. There's a lot of people around where I live that are contractors for the government. So they're six figures, 150, 200,000 earners, but they live check to check, right? And when I was younger, I'd be like, man, how do you earn 150 a year and you still need to borrow money from me? It wasn't until I started to understand finances that I'm like, oh no, we all got it off. We got it wrong.
So
we can't.
Why do you think they're living
wealth with a job? That's not like, of course you can. So to your point, yes, you can put money into the stock market, and it is possible on paper. Yes, that is true.
But not just on paper, in real life as well. It sounds like we're talking about our bad personal decisions.
Lack of financial literacy. That's what I say. So and that's not for the Black community. That's for Americans. That's not a Black community issue. That's an American issue, because when people say, they don't need reparations because they're gonna blow the money. Well, every time I watch a show about people winning the lottery, it's the white family in Middle America, and there's a thing called the lottery curse, where they win the lottery and they lose the money. So what I'm saying is that that's not a Black thing. That's an American thing. We don't understand financial literacy to make our money work for us for whatever reason, right? For whatever reason.
Well, let me ask you this.
Of course.
Let me ask you this, because I think we're jumping between things, because your original argument was that you can't pay taxes and at the same time build wealth. And that was an all-encompassing argument in terms of whether you're an investor, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an employee. You made a blanket statement saying if you're paying taxes.
I stand on that. You can't build wealth and pay taxes. I do stand on that. You can't do that.
You can't build wealth and pay taxes. Okay.
No, you cannot.
So if that's true, then there should be 0% of people that work a job and pay taxes that have a retirement, right?
That's not wealth. That's retired. That's a couple dollars. So for me,
that's still wealth. Wealth is just an asset.
Let me define what wealth is, and so we can have a factual conversation based on where we both starting at. For me, America has a good job of tricking us into believing income means wealth. Logic, net worth equals wealth. If I stop working my job today, how long would I go and still be okay? I can make money. Like the money thing I always say, the example that I use is a practical example because I'm in the DMV. Literally, the DC government, Maryland government, NSA, contractors everywhere. People that the average net worth, I won't say that, the average income where I met people are 80, 90,000, which is high, for America standards. I'm close to PG County, Bowie, Maryland, which is the top county for Black wealth. I'm doing air quotes in America. If you Google the one of the top areas for Black wealth, number one is going to say Washington. It should say Bowie, Maryland, but it's going to say PG County, and that's around where I'm at. So I see the idea of people living like they have wealth, but they don't. They have a high income, and the issue with that is a high income. Once that income stops, whether it be what they say, Americans are one emergency away. Health emergency, if your car got to go into the right. So we're one thing away. That's so in my mind,
those are personal decisions. Those are not like the way you're saying it is like, it has to be true that if you're paying taxes, it is not possible for you to build wealth. But your definition of income was correct. Your income is pretty much what you do, like you're working and you're getting income. But what I said was wealth, because your retirement account is not your income. Your retirement account is building and generating its own income without you having to work.
What's the average amount in somebody's retirement? What's the average? Has anybody ever looked up?
I can look it up, but like let's say that because you said wealth is your net worth, right? Outside of your income. So even if somebody had $200, that's still wealth. That's just not a lot of wealth, but it's still wealth. Because your argument is you can't build zero wealth if you pay taxes. But Elon Musk,
on a practical level, $200 is I mean, it's not
practical. It's not practical, but it is wealth.
I don't consider that wealth. That's just, you have $200.
That's just an example.
Right.
That's just an example, but I think, let's see, I can look it up. Average. So the average retirement in someone's 401k by the age of 60 is $555,621.
Now, that way where you can look it up for black people, because that's not a black stat. That's the average American white. That's how that works. Because our net worth or our income and our retirement, we don't get that. We don't get something that high.
I can look that up, but your argument was not whether black people. You said a human being, if they're paying taxes, they cannot build wealth. So those people that have the average that have the 561,000 or whatever, are all those people not paying taxes?
I would have to see their books. The majority of the people that have stuff that high, I would debate or argue that they're in the B or I quadrant. They're an investor or have a business on them. So that's my point.
But okay, but it's like you're focusing on one type of tax, because even as a business owner, if you have employees, you pay payroll taxes, you pay other types of taxes. It's not just income tax.
It's a different type of. So I have 13 employees. It's a different type of tax. But the beautiful thing about that type of tax is I can write it off. So I end up in So the point of that part is, if my tax bill is $100,000 at the end of the year, but I can write off 101, I just claim $1 in loss on paper, but I didn't lose any money and I didn't pay any taxes. So now I have all my resources to put that money into a new investment. Now I can come to your
right there though. Let's say that you didn't put that new money into an investment, but that you decided you wanted to go take a vacation in Maui and blow the money. Well, that was a personal decision, and that's the reason you're not wealthy, is because you chose not to invest your money
due to lack of financial literacy. You got to add that caveat on the back of it.
That's an assumption. I'm not saying it's not true that it doesn't happen, but lack of financial literacy is different than saying something isn't possible. Because if you say it's not possible
due to a lack of financial literacy, it's not possible to build wealth. We don't have financial literacy as a community, so we're not able to build any type of sustainable wealth. That's not a Sean thing, that's an American thing.
I'm more on board with that than it's impossible if you're paying taxes to build wealth, because those are two separate arguments. Because one makes it seem like the argument you were making in the beginning made it seem like even if you are financially literate, if you are paying taxes, you cannot build wealth. Is that what you're saying?
I think he just went inside his office.
Okay.
I think he's talking about I think he's specifically talking about financial literacy. If black people don't have financial literacy, it's hard to build wealth with paying taxes because you don't know how the game goes. To me, that's what he's saying.
But the determining factor is not taxes, though, because based on that logic, Okay, I just thought this. Based on the logic, if the reason you can't build wealth is
The
because of
elevator, I
lack
can
of
do it. Yes,
financial
ma'am.
literacy, then it has nothing to do with taxes and
My
everything to
pleasure.
do with the education. Because even if you weren't paying the taxes, you wouldn't use the money to go build wealth. So it's not the taxes, it's the lack
I
of
will be on the
financial
same page
literacy.
with that. I will be on the same page with that because there's people that have incomes that should, like, again, I keep using the example of my peers that work for the federal government. There's no reason why they shouldn't be putting away 5-10% and then putting that into some type of investment.
Right.
So
And
I'm
it
agreeing
has
with
to
you with
do with
that.
lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's like if you make $150,000, but you just have to have a $5,000 dollar a month mortgage, then yeah, you're gonna make less, you're gonna build less wealth than somebody that's living a little bit more minimalist. You know, like a lot of it does
But
come
that's
down to
still
life.
on the American thing. We're told to get a home and a house that we're told to get a home, and a home is not an asset either. So we're pushed down ways that where we just don't build wealth. We build negative equity in America by getting cars, getting homes, because the home isn't an asset; it's a liability. So we just got to reroute our brains and understand what's a liability and what's an asset. And like you said, start to build more assets.
Now that I've heard that
Can you hear
argument
me or
before that
no?
a home is not a, I've heard the argument that a home is not an asset.
Yeah.
To me, that is, it's not factual because I understand the
Hmm?
argument, but
Yeah.
an asset is something that can gain value over time. And maybe it's not the best investment asset, but to say it's not an asset at all, and I've heard Robert Kiyosaki talk about this at length,
Hmm.
uh, I think he does it to kind of get a visceral response. But with your home, you can tap into it and get lines of credit. You can sell it for more than you paid for it. You may not make as much as you would have made if you would have bought a multifamily, but like I've helped
So
people buy and sell real estate, and they've definitely sold it for more than what they bought it for at times.
you know when I think about an asset, can y'all hear me? By the way, I'm coming to the office.
Yeah.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not on Wi-Fi, so I don't know. Okay, bet. When I think about an asset, um, I think about it in like something that puts money in my pocket. Something
Mm-hmm.
that takes money from my pocket has to be a liability by definition because I have to pay for it. My mortgage, I gotta pay for it. The property tax, I gotta pay for it. The maintenance on the property, I gotta pay for it. Everything in my house, you know, we bought the house. Well, I ain't talked to y'all in a week. Went to
Yeah.
Florida, bought the house, came back. So we did end up buying a house down in Florida. That purchase
Nice.
hurt my soul because it wasn't a purchase as an investor. It was a purchase as what I don't believe. I purchased at the it's not under market value. I purchased it at market value. So right there, I lost money. Now, because I didn't get a mortgage on it, that's my saving grace. I paid cash for it. So I don't have no mortgage, but I got a property tax, 3,500 square feet, got to pay for that. 8,500 size lot, got to pay for that. Everything at that property, got to pay for. So me and my wife, we're going to go back and forth. So that property is going to pull money. The moment I'm able to put somebody in that property or rent it out or put it on Airbnb, at that point, it becomes an asset because now it's not coming from Sean's account. It's coming the rental, somebody paying me $10,000 a month and I'm paying $4,500 for the bills. So I can keep my little 40 whatever as a cash flow. Now that's an asset. But as long as I get paid for myself and I put that money right back out to them bills, that's a liability. Yes, you
Well,
can pull money from it.
let me
Yeah.
ask you this.
Yeah.
Is if you purchase a multifamily unit and it's renting and cash flowing, but let's say the market dips and now the rent that you can get for the property doesn't cover your mortgage and the taxes and the expenses, is that property still an asset even though it's just negative cash flow, or how do you think of that?
The moment you're paying for it, it's a liability. At no point if your money's coming out of your account is it an asset for you. On the asset column, it's a liability. So for me, I really, I read the book as we all did, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I never practiced that stuff. I always knew it, but I didn't live it. I didn't live it. It wasn't until a couple of years ago where I truly was like, I had an asset column and a liability column, and when I realized what my liabilities were in my life, my car, my homes, and I own them, they mine, but that's not an asset because it's taking money from me. So the money's coming from my account for this. Meanwhile, money's coming in on the passive income side. But some of them homes that people would tell me is an asset, it's not, I got to pay for it. It's coming from my account. So how can, that's rhetorical, but I'm just going to throw it out there. How can that be an asset if I'm paying for it every single month? Of course, and this is, if you live in a good area, that's houses go up, they go down. And again, most Americans aren't cash buyers when they're buying, they're getting a mortgage. So they're getting 5, 6, 7% APR over 30 years. So you probably know better than me. The top half of that mortgage is interest heavy. You're not paying the premium. You're not paying on a home until year 8, 9, and 10. So the first, 10 to round up, the first 10 years of that person having that property, they're paying property tax. They're not paying. So it's like
mainly paying interest.
They're paying interest. So in my brain, once I understood that, I was like, wait a minute, Sean, why are you? And I realized I was doing that because I was, it's the branding of America. You want the house, you want the car, you want and not picket fence per se, but like you want what everybody else told you that you should want. But when I'm doing the numbers on my household expenses, I'm like, that's foolish. My car, y'all don't know, but the car, I don't get a car with a note on it. I pay cash. If I can't pay cash, I don't get it. A home, if I can't pay cash, I don't get it. Not saying I don't leverage credit because, of course, this is America. So, a lot of stuff I just, it's hard to navigate without doing that. But when I'm in my investment bag, nothing, I'm paying 30, 40% under market value. So I'm coming in, a perfect example. I'm over here in Annapolis now, right by the Navy. If y'all watch football, Navy and Army game, I'm over here by the Navy Stadium. Mm-hmm. There's a river right back there. These properties are 1.2, 1.1 million on the comps. I got a home it was a wholesale deal at first. I got it under contract for $562,000. That's what I paid for. Now it needed a rehab, it needed a full gut, all that type of stuff. I put 120 into it. I think I was in it for it might have been 750, 760. I was all in for it. But again, 760, that neighborhood's worth 1.1. So that's what I mean. That now when you moving like that, now when I'm in it and I put my money into it, the neighborhood's 1.1 million, but I'm in it for 7.5. So I'm making my money when I buy it. That's my mentor always told me. So the way that I move is my mentor said, he said, Sean, you don't make your money when you sell it. You make it when you buy it. I said, Ron, what are you talking about? And he said, people, when they buy their home, they think when they sell it, they're gonna make their money. But that's not how real estate works. You make it off your purchase. And it's, again, he told me that in 2015. I didn't get it until 2021. And once I started realizing I got to purchase 20% under market value, or it's a horrible deal. Now, is that easy? No, it's not easy. But like you said, with building wealth, if somebody wants to do it, you do it. You don't buy, you don't get the mortgage, you don't go in at the comps, you go in under. You find a great neighborhood, but a beat up home. You find a good neighborhood. This is gonna sound bad out loud, but somebody might pass away. Somebody might pass away and not have no relatives. So now that home is just sitting, right? So now you find that home and nobody wants it. That's the game that I play. I find the best neighborhoods, but the home that might need the work. My wife, I did it for this because I don't want to get beat up. So she was sending me stuff on Zillow. So we were going that route, but I already knew that we weren't going to get a mortgage. So I was able to swallow that thought process of knowing I was doing a bad deal by saying, well, I'm not getting a mortgage. So at least I can control on the front end, the resource. And then on top of that, I got how I was able to kind of get the money was 20% my money, 80% a lender, because I told them I'm going to use that as an asset, as a short-term rental. So they financed 80% and I came 20%. Now, if I would have came to them with an FHA, with a regular house, they would have said, Sean, get out my office. Because this isn't an asset. You're bringing me a property that, but I'm not doing. I'm bringing them something that's going to earn, that's potentially going to earn income based on the zip code, based on the property value, but probably better than me, based on all the comps. So I'm moving with the idea of getting assets to get other people to get me money. And if I was to give them a regular house, nobody would fund me because they would say, Sean, that's not a real asset. And before my sons would have got hurt, but now I get it. Now I get the game.
I'll ask both of you guys this, because the topic tonight is kind of centering around Black masculinity and accountability. So my first knee-jerk reaction when you were saying you can't build wealth while also paying taxes, it made me think about, how sometimes we can speak from a place where we may understand what we're saying, but somebody listening that may be the thing that they hear and go, okay, I shouldn't try. Because if I know I'm paying taxes, why should I then invest my money? Because they're saying, oh, I think his Wi-Fi went out, but I'll continue the question.
Yep. Okay,
there we go. I think we're back. Okay, yeah, we can see you. We can't see the top part of your head. But so my essentially my question is, what role do you think Black men have in, I guess, expressing our discontentment with the system and the way things are? Like, what role do we have? Because I understood what you were saying when you were saying you can't build wealth and pay taxes. I understand it on a larger level, but technically it's not true. But on a larger level, the mindset is true. Like, you want to get to a point to where you are writing things off and you're in control of your income and things like that. I understand that. But if I didn't have the financial knowledge I have, I may hear that and be like, well, damn, I'm working this job. I'm not a business owner. Should I just not invest in? Should I just not try to build wealth? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, for the people who are watching that may not have the extensive knowledge, I would hope that they wouldn't be like, well, I'm just gonna give up. I'm just be done. But that's not really what was said or what is being said. It's just about being smart with your money, being smart, going and getting the knowledge, being around good people, getting a good support system, knowing what to invest in, what not to invest in, being with a partner, whoever that may be, who supports that as well. Because sometimes Black men will get with women who kind of just suck them dry and they don't really have an opportunity to invest, because they're trying to fulfill all these different roles for somebody else instead of the ones they want to fill for themselves. So for those people who are watching, don't take it with a grain of salt. Take it as, let me research this a little bit more. Let me figure this out. Let me dive deeper into what they're saying, what he means. Because both of you guys have good arguments. I mean, especially when you're asking all those questions, you made Sean break it down a little bit more, which I think was amazing, but it's a little bit more clearer when you take out some of that emotional side that we've been built to kind of possess when it comes to things like this, because we feel the need to, and this may be a general statement, but Black men feel the need to keep up with the Joneses sometimes, rather than saying, this is where I'm at, this is who I am. Let me figure out how I can be proficient in where I'm at to get to that level where I don't have to worry, like keep up the image, but worry about my bank account at the same time. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
Nice. So how about you, Sean? And like, what role do you think Black men have when it comes to the message we put out with our discontentment of, I guess, the system, the way things are, etc.?
Oh man, it's. Can y'all hear me? Am I on an echo with you all, or no? Y'all can hear me just fine.
No, I can hear you fine.
Okay, because it's an echo on my. I'll zone it out. And the trouble is, it's our people, man. We have been led wrong by a lot of different things. So I'm disappointed in a lot of our people. I'm disappointed in our celebrity culture. I'm disappointed in our rappers. I'm disappointed in our celebrities. You know, where people have a platform and they don't teach as much as they floss.
Mhm.
And when they floss, kids don't understand the how. So they look outside like, man, I want that Bentley, and I want that, Benz. So, but they don't understand, you know, how to obtain. So then we not we, but the idea of us, right? We have a culture of people, and then social media, I believe, is people's highlight reels. That's what I always tell people when I do Zoom. You know, try not to get too bothered, too up and down, because social media is that it's like sports in the top 10. You're not gonna see the low lights. You're gonna see all the highlights. You're gonna see them, you know, smiling, but you're not gonna see when they're depressed. You're not gonna see when they late on the rent. You're not gonna see when the car almost got repossessed.
Right. That's
Our
true.
responsibility is to get information, and then get on forums like this and just chop it up and have genuine conversation. Not saying we have to agree 1,000%, but just saying, for me, I'm always going to be a student, but I'm always going to break down how I feel. My thought process is always to break down the how, because if I can tell you the how, even when we hang up from here, you can. And I always say Google, right? Don't trust me. I'm a guy who know who I am. Google it. That's why I say I read this book. I do this. I'm given places to go. But after you do that, like, don't, like I said last week, don't get stuck with like the you know, when you got information but you don't apply it. Make sure you do it. I think a lot of people, a lot of men in our community, Black men, and this is stuff that I think I had to deal with also, and I don't want to put that on nobody else, but it's like I was scared. I was scared, man. I was scared to take that first step. And you know, so I don't know if I'm answering your question, man. I just feel like we gotta get on forums and we have to have real conversation, and we can't be short. That's why I hate typing. I like to get on video, or not video, but I like to do a long form, because if I'm typing, I like to be joking. I be joking, but it's not. You know, sometimes you gotta explain stuff. You got to break it down. This is A, this is Z, this is how we get there. So these are good forums. When our celebrities make blanket statements, sometimes I cringe. Because like I said, man, it's a group of people that's outside that don't know the how. And if they don't know the how, they still gonna want what that celebrity got.
Right.
You know, I'm in the suburbs, but I'm from DC, man. DC right now, and even PG County around it got stolen cars, man, even in the good areas. These kids are seeing their favorite rappers. They seeing their favorite celebrities. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not doing that because they love stealing cars. They're doing that because they want what they got, but they look outside and they can't see how to get it. So when you pull up in that gas station with your, I don't care what y'all got, Nissan Maxima, they rather get it from you. Go to the shop, get broken off a couple. Like that's what we have to stop. We have to stop being on here flossing for the gram, man. We got to have real conversation with people.
No, that's important, and it's interesting what both of y'all said, because one of the things that I wanted to also talk about tonight was, and I know me and Ty saw, but Sean, I don't know if you saw, Cam Newton got jumped. I decided not to show the video just because I don't really want to glorify it, but I do think it's important to talk about, you know, because when I think of Black masculinity, one of the issues that I see in the Black community is that because the men in our community are so emotional, it makes the successful men in our community not even want to deal with them. Because if like I see all these videos about women being emotional online, and women are emotional, they're not logical. The only thing worse than dealing with an emotional woman is dealing with an emotional ass man, because that's where it can turn dangerous, right? It's like an emotional woman, like you could pretty much handle your own with her, but an emotional man, that's really like a threat on your life at times, you know. So like when I see Cam Newton getting jumped, I think of like emotional men, and that's what led to that. So do y'all think that being an emotional man has held the Black community back in terms of like Black men stepping up, like Black successful men stepping up and trying to give back and, you know, interact, I guess, with people that maybe aren't just at that level yet of success or whatever?
Did you want to go first, Ty?
I'm gonna think about that. You got it.
I think fragile ego, man. Men and their fragile ego. A lot of times, even with what I do a lot of stuff. That's why I hate to say what I do, because I'm an entrepreneur. And I was saying that back when people say, "You an entrepreneur? You have a job?" I'm like, no, man, I just do stuff. But my point is, I help people with a couple of business development. Majority, and I'm saying like 93, 94% of my 425 companies that I help with their business credit are women, are Black women. The rest of them are men. Why am I saying that? Because it's easier for a woman to not submit, that's probably the wrong word, but it's easier for a woman to hop on the call with me and chop it up and be vulnerable and like, man, them men be like, them men, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear nothing I'm trying to tell them. I'm like, bro, you call me. You on my line.
That's true. That's true. I found that as a real estate agent too, because there was a man that I was helping one time, and he was like an investor, right? But he had just started buying properties. So we were just looking at a property, and he was like, "Yeah, I think I want this one." And I just, giving him the game, like, okay, I know he has he owns a home. And as you know, when you go buy a property, and he didn't have like a separate entity set up, he was buying this in his personal name. It wasn't an LLC. So I'm just letting him know, like, okay. And mind you, I don't know anything about his finances or anything like that. Just a general thing of like, when you go buy a second property, they want to look at all the assets you have, like the properties you have, because your DTI. Just want to let you know that. He got emotional about, you worry about finding the properties, I'll worry about the money. Don't be asking me about my money. Then his wife calls and she's on the phone, and he was like, you know what? I appreciate him, because these other real estate agents, they never brought that up to me. They was too scared, and he said it. But it's like, his initial reaction was like emotional, like, oh, you're counting my pockets. Don't worry about my money. But it's like, I'm just trying to help you, because real estate transactions, if you don't know the financing of it and stuff like that, you could spend thousands of dollars just to get days before closing. And a lender says, oh yeah, we see now that you have this other property, and it's $1 million property, and the DTI just doesn't quite work out. So you're not going to be able to close. And then now what? Like, this is reality in real estate. The process is so long that you may not find out until the end. And then now, like you were talking about earlier, you win when you buy real estate. It's the same thing as like trying to get a transaction closed. You win when you know the things up front going into it, because they'll take your application, they'll take your earnest money, they'll let you pay the inspection fee, let you pay the appraisal, and then 5 days before closing come out and say, we found this, and we're not going to be able to fund this. So it's like, that's what that made me think of, is like, I didn't have that problem when I had female clients, because they were more so like, oh, really? Especially when I was dealing with like couples. The female was always more receptive, and the man was like always more like, I don't want to say on edge, but more emotional about things. Like, they just wanted it their way. No matter what real estate, real estate market says, they just want it their way. And if it's not their way, they think it's me. Like, it's not me.
Nah. It's one of them things where it's like, and I have some of that stuff in me too. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm perfect. Nah, man. In the certain settings, I know what I know. I know what I need. Leave me alone. Let me get it. I got it.
Right.
But when it's collaborative time, I don't let the ego get in the way of the business.
Right.
And that's one thing that me and my wife, we been together. We've been together 14 years married, 20 years together. So in all that time, what I realized was, when we first was dating and we would start going to jewelry stores, a lot of the sales rep would go to me first. She be the one talking to him. And then now she got attitude and she mad at me because the sales rep didn't appreciate the fact that she was walking in and talking and they were trying to make the deal with me. So I realized that from seeing how my wife didn't like that, I just realized, oh, let me not do that when I'm talking to people, when it's a collaborative thing. Let me include everybody. But then when I got into sales, much like you said, people start coming in couples. Oh man, it's like night and day.
Yeah, you don't know who to shake hands with first.
You know, for me, I remove myself. I remove myself from foolishness from men because I'm not fighting nobody's brother, nobody's uncle, nobody's cousin. I'm not doing that no more in my life. No, if they look like me, I'm not fighting you. You got it. I promise you got it. I'll be in the back of the room eating my buffalo wings. Get me when y'all ready. I'm not fighting no more.
What you think, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, I see that. I'm a clinical therapist by day. I see that all the time with a lot of my male clients. They range from 18 all the way up until 70. I got 70-year-old clients, and sometimes they exhibit a lot of those things, and I tell them off rip. For men, and this goes for all men, not just black men. I think all men in our society are pushed to be all these different titles: provider, Superman, father, X, Y, and Z. But the one thing we're never taught in the midst of all that is how to be vulnerable, how to express our emotions, how to put down the ego at times, the pride. And I think it puts us in situations similar to like what Cam Newton's going through. And I think with that situation, it was more of the people that he got into the argument with. They just wanted to feel a part of it, a part of what was going on. And I think a little bit what Cam has been doing lately has been distancing himself from certain things, right? And I think he's been, and I told you, we talked about this before, about him portraying somebody who he's not. Just because you're from Atlanta doesn't mean you about that life. I got homies from PG County, all throughout there, and they may exhibit some of the same behaviors, but when it comes down to it, they not like the dude up the street that been getting down for years. And I think Cam should have been, de-escalating a little bit more, because he did admit to letting it escalate to a certain point where they did get physical. But again, if I'm in a position like that, I have to understand that this man is not, I don't want to say envious, but he wants to be a part of the process. So how can I make him feel like he's a part of the process without the egos clashing? It's like putting two lions in a cage, expecting them not to fight. Like, bro, you got all this money, you got a successful podcast, you talking all this smooth shit on the podcast, you live in this lavish lifestyle, but then you almost making it seem like you're doing a favor for this football camp shit. Like when I think he might have been talking to, was he talking to Shay? I don't remember who he was talking to, but he was like, yeah, I produced fucking Patrick Mahomes, all these players that he talked about, but you didn't really produce them. They just happened to come through the camp, because my cousin went through his camp too. So to me, on the outside looking in, that would make me feel like you think you better than me, nigga.
Yeah.
So he kind of almost set himself up by saying those comments. He could say I contributed to maybe some of their success, which cool. But he was kind of asking for that, man. Really, like low key. I don't know if it was a clash of egos per se, but don't come over here thinking you better than us, because we're here doing the work. You just got the name, right? You're not in our community every day. You from Atlanta. You from you from here, but you're not out here every day like we are. You're not delivering groceries to these moms, these kids, picking up. You're not doing all that. You only doing a football camp, a little turkey giveaway every year, which I'm grateful for, because people giving back, but don't try to act like you really producing what we're building. I think that's what it came down to between both of them, or all three of us, two guys.
Well, you what you find a lot of time is people get, and this is going to sound dramatic to some people, a lot of people get killed in their hometown, right? So a lot. This isn't it's violence, but like a lot of our people, a lot of our stars, celebrities, when they go back home, that's when the hate happens. So for me, when people, there's a part of me that's like, because I know a lot of ball players that came up before I did is from Maryland, from Silver Spring specifically. I played ball a couple years in the league, and then they bought their mom a Bentley. They bought their cousins the jewelry, and they come back, and I'm like, big dog, you look like a snack. Like, I understand you try to be around, but you look like food. But nah, I'm from here. Got you. You look like food, right? I understand because how not me per se, but when you come in an area with people and Cam, you know, his attitude, and I hate to put it back on him. When I would always hear Cam talk, I feel like I want to fight him, and I ain't got no problem with Cam.
I told you, Fitz. I told you, bro. God, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Y'all emotional,
bro. Because it's something about when he talking. It's like, bro, who are you talking to, bro?
Well, he just seemed that way.
To add to what you're saying, here's what I don't think many of these people realize when they go back. It's like you're not going back to what you knew, because when you were there, you weren't the current you with all this money and stuff. It's like the fact that you're there, your presence with the money and the accolades and stuff, that makes it a different environment. Now. It's like, you know, a million years ago, Texas may not have been Texas. It may have been something else. The environment was different. But it's like, I can't go back now, like from today, and go back there and be like, oh yeah, this is still Texas. It's like, no, that's something different. You know, like, but I did want to ask you, Sean, because you brought your wife up multiple times. And it's interesting because I always look at Black culture as like a conduit of like, when people go through Black culture, what are the things they learn to get certain outcomes? So was there anything that Black culture taught you about how to be a great husband?
Nah. Nah, big dog. Nah, man. They taught me how to be an F-boy. Goodness.
Yeah. So the follow-up question is, where did you learn to be a husband? Because it's like, where do Black men go to learn how to be a great husband when most of our households are led by single Black women? Where do Black men go to learn how to be husbands?
That's a great question. Because my wife came from, as I always, not clown her, but like the suburbs, mom and dad, which isn't we talk about like it's bad, but it's a great thing to have a great family. That's not a bad thing, but we joke about it. My dad and mom were never married. So like, and my dad was on drugs. Like, she left him and then got married to somebody else when I was like 5 or 6. I'm saying this, but to shoot her some bell in our conversation, she never saw a healthy marriage. Her parents were together, but they weren't functioning. Like, she thought they were the Huxtables because she was a child. Her sister was 14 years older, and she just wouldn't bring her into like the family drama because she just wasn't going to do that. Once my wife got to be of age, she realized, wait a minute, my dad was cheating. Wait a minute, my mom. Wait a minute. So me and her realized that we're not going to give up on each other. Me and her made a bond. That was number one. And really, I don't know if it's 1 or 1A. We're friends first. So y'all know I'm old. We met on Black Planet. So back in the day, there wasn't all the, the FaceTime, and I had to have a conversation with the young lady. We had to talk. We had to go to Bennigan's and it was a thing. So we literally were friends first, then went to being boyfriend and girlfriend, then went to being engaged, then went to being. So I'm saying it to say, whenever we clash, we don't just say, man, bump this, I'm out. We fall back on being friends first and foremost. Even when I don't like her, I love her. So I went through counseling. I'm saying because this is a Sean thing. This is a man thing. This is a me thing. The first 10 years of I don't know if it's 10 years, that's dramatic. Maybe 8 years of our marriage. I thought I knew it all. I'm the man. You do what I say because I said it. And I didn't say it like that, but my actions was like that. I didn't realize I was doing that. Once I realized her retorts to me weren't sensual. They weren't like, yes, sir. Like they were combative. What you mean? Do this. No, I'm not doing that. I'm like, wait a minute. We weren't collaborating the right way. And I realized that I kept pushing it off on my wife and realized, this is a Sean thing. And I had to realize, what's the word? Anger. pushing my anger on her. And I realized that I had to really dissect my childhood, my father, my mother, my lack of parental. I had to start back from a child, build myself back up to be a confident man. And I'm married, but I'm not single, I'm married, having to do this. The hardest thing in the world was holding myself accountable. There was no book for that. As I always tell men that ask me when married, there's no book for that. So anybody, there's no book to be a good man. You have to, I had to want to be one. I had to realize I was trash to then say, okay, I'm like I told you, I'm a sports, I'm a ball player. I know when I'm horrible at sports. How do I get better? I go back into the lab. I go back into the gym. I had to go back into the proverbial, gym for marriage, for self-care. I had to get the ebooks. I had to and figure out how to communicate with my wife and then build that up. I don't have an answer for where we go to get it, because even today when I'm fully thinking with my positive mind, I couldn't even tell you where to get it today in our community. I can't point you to where. I don't know. I have no idea where to point
it. I can point to it. I can point to it.
Where's that? My man.
Because I'll push back on something you said. You said there's no book, but like when you have a child, you're the book. Like you're the book. Like book is just somewhere where you go for information and to learn. So if you have a son or even a daughter or whatever, you're now the book. You're where they go to get the information from. They're like you're their book. But so many of us grow up without fathers that we don't have the book. Like, but that really is the book. That's how you learn those things, because it's like if you have a father to go to and be like I remember my dad, I was having a conversation with him, and this was right after I had my son, and it was just a random conversation, and he was talking about like, hey, do you help with diapers? And I was like, here and there, but he was like, yeah, when I was your age and I had you, I used to like make it seem like I was too busy doing something else to help with diapers. But like you shouldn't do that. And that's really what I be doing. Like I had to check myself. Like I really be doing that. Like I really be telling myself sincerely, like I'm just too busy. But then it's like him telling me that he used to do that too, and like trying to warn me. It gets like it hits different when it's not being pushed on you, but just like hey, I used to do this, and I don't know if you're doing it, but it sounds like you are. And then I would just be like, but I'm too big, and he'd be like, okay. And that's all it takes from like your dad or like a man you respect, just saying, like, okay. And then like, okay, I messed up somewhere. They don't even have to, like, it could just be a look, it could just be like a sentence that they say or a word, like, all right, man. And so it's like you're that book. You becoming a great man, you're now that book for whoever is in your life. Like I'm still trying. Like you're the book for her to know what a great man is, a great husband, a great father is. And then so it's like that. I was just thinking about that when you were saying like there's probably no textbook, but as far as a place to go get information, you're the book.
It's the funny part is me and Terrance don't have children yet. We had 3 miscarriages. Not for lack of trying, we just have carried the term. We have a niece, or I call her Princess Taylor. She's 17, and I still think she's like 6. But like when she was a child, she would come hang out with us for the weekend, and like I open her door, I close her door, like I'm catering to her to the point where when she would go back home with her grandma would call me and like, what'd you do to my niece or my godbaby or my grandbaby? I'm like, what do you mean? She said, I try to open the door for Taylor and she won't get out. And I'm like, why she won't get out? And she said, because Uncle Sean opens the door for her. I'm like, I'm without realizing, I'm setting her boyfriend up to like have to do certain things. And it wasn't on purpose per se, but it's just like, I treat her like I treat my wife. I just, for me, I didn't have, and I don't know, like I always tell Terrance, I don't know how to raise no girls. I don't, but I know what I would want for my daughter. And the part that I caught myself, I'm like, man, this was a little girl back then, and she was used to what I was doing. She was used to me carrying her. She was used to me making sure she didn't get wet. So indirectly, her boyfriend got to do that.
Right.
Indirectly, whoever her spouse, like she's going to have some sense of, what she's going to tolerate. And I always would say on Instagram, I'll be like, every time she'd have a birthday, I say, happy birthday, Princess Taylor. You're 1 year closer to getting somebody's son introduced to my favorite R&B group, These Hands. Like, my brain is like, the older she gets, the more I know I'm going to have to jack somebody's son up. But I look forward to it because her dad's not there. Her dad's not in her life.
Right.
It's her mom and it's her grandma. So it's like, and I got another homegirl, my wife's best friend down in Atlanta. It's like that. We go down to Atlanta frequently. We go up to Baltimore frequently. And we ain't got no kids, but we're so vested in everybody else. Not that's dramatic, but whenever they need us, we're there. Whenever, and not like a call. Like I pull up. Me and Terrance pull up. Down in Georgia, their grandma just passed away. We literally drove 17 hours. Drove 17 hours, went to the funeral, drove 17 back to go to another funeral. Like, we're showing up for people. And I don't know what that's going to do for anybody, but I wish somebody would have did that for me when I was younger. I wish somebody would have showed me what it's like to say you're going to do something and then follow through with it. I don't have all the answers. But one thing that I always say, if you say you're going to do something, just do it. And it's hard. That's hard. I said that like it's simple. It's very hard to do. But don't break them kids' heart. Don't break them kids' spirits. Because they don't forget that stuff. Because I didn't forget it. And I started to treat my wife bad because of stuff that my dad did that I didn't realize that when I first promises that he broke. So I broke promises with my wife. So I had to rebuild and do it anyway. I appreciate that though. I'm learning every day. I was texting my wife all the way over here. We're trying to get another house in Florida. We're trying to get a house next to the one that we bought. Like, she's in a space where like she's so happy. I'm happy for her being happy. So whatever she has, she can ask me for a unicorn. I'm gonna find one. Like, I don't know who's selling, but I'm gonna find her a damn unicorn because that's for me. I'm pouring into my wife. Whatever she needs from me, I'm trying to show up as me as best I can to provide whatever she wants. I don't know if that helps anybody, but
no, I think that there's a lot of value in that. And another question that I have for both of y'all is, what role do you think, as people looking for father figures in other people play? Like, because I see a lot of that where, and it's unfortunate, but I can tell, like when I'm meeting a man, that this is a person, like after talking to him for a while, this is a person that never had like a positive male figure in their life. And sometimes it can seem like they're looking for that. And if you don't provide that, or you're like you were talking about unicorn a couple seconds ago. I think that's what like a lot of black men have a unicorn vision of like a strong black man. They don't know that it even exists.
Yeah.
So they're out there looking for it. And when they don't find it, it seems like that's where the anger comes in. That's where the disrespect for other black men comes in at, is because they're looking for something they never had. So what role do you guys think that plays in black men respecting other black men? It's like you're looking for a father figure, and the closest thing you have is other black men who just remind you that you didn't have a father.
Want to get it, Ty?
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's a good question though, because I mean, at some point I had to figure out nobody could fulfill, or maybe I think a part of it was nobody could fulfill that part for me, but also I wasn't letting nobody step into that role for me because I had to grow up at a certain early age, which kind of, I said to myself, you can't tell me shit. Who are you? You're not even my pops. Like, and I never really got an opportunity to see a father figure in my life. Now that I'm older, and this kind of goes into the question you asked before for Sean, I had to learn what masculinity is, what I want it to look like. Am I capable of being this? How does this look in my life? So I had to start learning and applying that, not just sitting with it and think once I get married, all these things, everything's gonna be all gravy. But there was some real stuff that I had to accept and say, hey, you just trash right now, bro. Like, what's going on? Like, I had to check in with myself.
Yeah.
And I think it made me angry towards other black men, and ultimately feel that disrespect of like the same way I felt against my own father. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's a good question because I ain't never thought about it like that. But now it's more of looking for that community for us all to kind of collab to say, hey, it's okay. It's okay to be where you at. How can we get better? How can we set a better example of what it's supposed to look like? Instead of looking for. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for people looking outside of, for outside information. But how can we exhibit that example? Like, let's set an example, be the example, and follow through with everything we say. But man, I'll have to think about that a little bit more. That's tough, for sure.
I used to, when I was on Clubhouse and this app called Fanbase. Fanbase is the black-owned version of Clubhouse.
By Master P.
Yeah.
Master P, that's great.
Master P was one of my idols, man. Master P and Dame. People love the the rappers. I love the CEOs back then. That because I'm the youngest of 6. I'm the youngest of 7, but all my brothers are older. My dad was 49 when he had me. So I was born in 82. My oldest brother, or my youngest brother after me, I was 0 years old. And then the next one was 29. So I was cute when I was young, but then as I grew up, them jokers didn't check on me because our age was so wide. And then my father was so old, and then he relapsed on drugs. So literally between my older brothers and my father, the men that was supposed to shield me, I didn't have that. So that was something that I didn't realize I had resentment. And I remember like the Million Man March, the original one, 1995. A lot of my friends were going, and I realized I couldn't go because I couldn't get a hold of my father because he was on a drug binge. I was in 8th grade, so I was old enough to realize what it was, and I was putting stuff together, and I'm like, wait a minute, why are my friends go? Their dads are going, their uncles. That's resentment. I'm getting into high school, and again, I'm going to a high school that's a little aggressive, and I never grew up aggressive, and they bullying me around, and I'm like, wait a minute, why am I getting put? So it's like, eventually, and I still remember date to this day, February 21st of 1998, I got jumped. I don't know if y'all can, well, no matter. I got a scar on my eyebrow. I got jumped by 6 guys in my girlfriend's room. They ran in the room. They took one of her high heels and hit me They hit me under my eye. Was that healed? But over my eyebrow. They hit and the heel stuck. And then he got it out. These were all black men, black boys. And then that was back in the day, so wasn't no Uber. It wasn't no. I had to hop on the bus, bleeding. I had to hop on, get my bus pass, ride back home. I lost my keys. So, black moms, where's your keys at? I'm like, Mom, when I'm knocking, and then she opens the door and sees her baby bloody. And then she went from, where's your keys to, oh, my baby. And I'm like, it just was. Anyway, so I'm now having resentment with my mother. I'm having resentment with my father, and then resentment with my mother. Like, and then I'm going to the hospital, and my father comes in, and the first thing my father says to me as I'm laying in that hospital bed, not like, are you okay? What do you need? The first thing that man said to me was, how many of them did you get? First thing he said to me. And the second thing was, your brothers are on the way. And I'm like, what does that mean? What type of hood language are you talking to? I don't understand this, this. At that time, I didn't get what he was trying to say to me. Mm-hmm. From that moment, once I got to the house and I realized that nobody was going to look out for me, I remember what day it was. It was like the 25th of February of 98. I looked in the mirror for the last time. I saw that blood, or it was, the stitches and all that stuff. I said, I'm never going to be a victim again. And I wish I could, when I said that, I wish I meant like I was going to pray to God and like be a respectful young man. But I went on super goon time. If I heard, my name is Sean. If I heard John, I'm snatching somebody up, throwing them in the trunk. Big dog, I ain't even talking to you. Oh, my bad. Like, I'm apologizing after the fact. But because I was so hurt and I wasn't protected by nobody, I went over aggressive. But check this out. At Black people, it wasn't at nobody white. It wasn't at nobody Spanish, as we call them, where I'm from. Like, it was literally, and it wasn't even the people that did what they did to me, but it's like, I didn't want to be a victim again. I said I wasn't going to let my mother. And I'm telling the story, the short end of that story to say where I came from. I came from a space of I was overly aggressive. Every day I woke up, I still have a book bag. In them days, I would have a knife, I would have a gun. Not now, but I was a stabber. Because I don't want to shoot nobody. I want you to know I stabbed you. I did that. It was me. I did that. I don't want to shoot you. I'm up on you, big dog. I did that. If I come back, it's gonna be a problem for you. If you tell somebody, it's gonna be a problem for you. I still carry a book bag. I'm 41 years old. Now I got my MacBook in there now, my iPad. Like but my idea is that certain things don't change with me. I like to say I'm refined, but certain things I can never, take back. Then there was a part where I was starting to heal myself, where I said, man, I'm gonna start saying sorry to people that I wronged, people that and it was never jumping. It was always me. Once I decided to go super goon, it was me. It was me with these hands. I decided to say I'm sorry to people. I decided to, and it wasn't on social media back then. So I had to see him on the bus, I had to see him on the train, I had to see him at a basketball game, at a homecoming. It was random back then. But everybody that I ever did something wrong to, I literally went out my way to say, man, I'm sorry. And not even wanting them to accept it. Because at that point, it wasn't for that. Yeah. It was for me. I knew I was wrong for that. That was the beginning of me understanding, like, I had a problem as a Black man. And that's when I kept saying, and I said it before, if there's somebody Black arguing with me, they're not arguing with me. I'm in the back eating buffalo wings. They arguing with y'all. Let me know when y'all finish, because I'm not going to participate in this stuff. I'm saying that. So I'm saying that to say, like, as I move forward, I'm coaching kids and I'm giving back to communities, and I'm so into, like I was saying before, and I'm incorporating. I'm doing these things because I have a gift of what I did when I was younger. And I'm 44 years old. This is when I had team behind my name, like 15, 16. But I don't want nobody to ever feel like they don't have nobody to come to. So I come out, I give them my phone number, my office number, all my cell phones. I got 5 cell phones around me. I give them my tablet number. If I'm not to y'all, but y'all too. But I tell them, if y'all need somebody to talk to, man, call me. I'm not gonna, and this is why I retired myself. Because I used to work for and then Samsung, and then LG. That's my background, was tech. And I started doing real estate. And then I started to be my own worker. And then I got my own schedule. But I did all that, not just I work for myself because I need my own schedule. I need my people that I coach. I don't want them to call me and me not pick up. And me say, man, I'm sorry, I got a big meeting. Now, if you need me, I'm gonna literally excuse myself and answer that phone. Because for me, the only way that I know that I can help the people coming under me is to be an example. And then, I tell myself story because I don't want them to, I always say, even with basketball, like I said, I go on the court and I show them, like, I'm better than all y'all. I'm better. I do this better than all y'all. When it comes to going back into the communities, I'm like, I used to do this, y'all. Y'all can't scare me. It doesn't matter what y'all tell me. This isn't, y'all around y'all homeboys. I was out by myself. This isn't a thing for me. Mm-hmm. I always want Black men to understand other Black men they're not our, what you call the ops, which our kids say. They're not our opposition. That's why I always say the system. And people, and it comes off, people like, oh, you're, not y'all, but the victim. And I'm like, man, if y'all just knew what I'm doing, like, I can't be a victim. But it's the idea. I can't blame us because I'm trying to help us. I'm trying to pull us away. But it is some stuff that's systematic that's getting in the way. But for me, I'd rather go up that hill and take that and not complain, because there's kids looking at me and they don't want to know why it didn't happen, but they just need help. They need resources. They need, and whatever's going to help them get there, I got to help them do that. Now, full disclosure, I used to have a God, what am I going to say, the therapist, a God complex. Mm-hmm. We used to have a God complex. I left that alone. And a God complex was meaning, like, I thought I can save the world. And I wouldn't say it, but my actions would be like, I would move like that. So I had to remove myself from like, from that, but it's a step below that. I just want to be a help. And I really don't like talking about our issues as much as I like to show kids how to form an LLC, how to get your EIN number, how to do your business credit, how to get a grant, how to get an office space, how to get your girl, you living with your girl, you don't have no money. Well, if you get an LLC, you can get a company, or you can get an apartment with it's called a corporate lease. They won't run your credit. Why? Because I ain't got no money. You don't need money. All you need is you need your EIN number and your DUNS number, and they won't run your credit, and they'll give you the keys to like helping people understand how to get unstuck. Because a lot of us are just stuck. No matter what it is, we're stuck, and we need, and our uncles, our fathers, our brothers missed the ball. They didn't help us get not y'all. I'm saying the community. But they didn't help us get unstuck. So for me, I just want to help people get unstuck. And it's still some stuff that's BS in our community. Like, our rappers, they fooling. They ain't killing nobody. They ain't sliding on no ops. The guys will tell them on Clubhouse, man, y'all not killing nobody. I promise you not. Because you wouldn't be on the phone talking to me. You wouldn't be on Clubhouse talking to me and you and your ops. Like that's not logical to me. Right.
And
we can't have that message. We have to change our message.
Yeah.
But it starts with us three being examples.
Right.
Exactly. And because and examples is the key word, because I think that you were talking about the rappers and these other people, those are the examples. Those are like the people that are looked at as the father figures, as we're going to go to you and learn. But personally, like I didn't realize this because I grew up with my dad, and I didn't realize that some of my friends that didn't have dads, they was really taking this rap stuff serious. I'm like, this just a song to me. I'm just Lil Wayne, just a song to me. Like when I go home, my dad's not gonna let me do what they talk about in this song. Like, but my friends, they taking that stuff literally. They like, hey, we about to go do this. I didn't understand it, and I didn't, like I don't know who's in their house. I don't know that they don't have dads until later on. But it confused me growing up, because it's like, wow, you can get away with that? How are you able to? No, I gotta come straight home from school. I can't go. And if I ditch school, my dad's gonna get off work, and then he's gonna beat my ass in the principal's office in front of the principal, and
hold you accountable.
Go to jail and say, well, I'm gonna beat his ass twice right now so that you guys don't have to call me next time. Like he's saying stuff like that. So it's like I didn't understand that until really I was an adult, and I started like looking more into the issues in the Black community. And I was like, wow, dads really do make a bigger impact than people give them credit for. Like all this talk online, like you hear women saying, it matters how much a man makes to a certain extent, but there's nothing like, having a man in your life that is committed to excellence, especially if there's children, because like Chris Rock had a joke where he said, you could be the most dangerous mom in the world. There's nothing like, I'm going to tell your dad when he gets home. Like there's nothing like that. And so, like you said, us being great examples, that's where it starts at.
Yeah.
That's exactly where it starts at.
Yeah. People got to heal from that too. I think that's an important piece, because of resentment, thinking about it, resentment looks like anger, right? Looks like explosive outbursts, right? Which is what I experienced a lot. It wasn't until 2017, probably around graduating college, that I talked to my pops. We had a conversation. Told him that I forgave him. Told him, that I understood. At this time, now that I'm older, I can understand the decisions that were made, the lack of support that my mom and him had. I met his dad for the first time. I was 24 when I graduated, somewhere around there. That was my first time I ever met his dad. First time ever. We chopped it up, had a good conversation. I felt good. It was mainly for me rather than him, because I was carrying that for so long like a backpack. And it would look like arguments with my mom, arguments with romantic relationships, arguments with friends, family members, whatever the case may have been. And you know, invited them to my graduation, all those things. They didn't show up, which it was all good. You know, it didn't really matter because the people that was there, that's what mattered the most. But it helped me heal and not carry that further to destroy relationships going further. You know, being in Colorado, moving up to, because we was in Pueblo at the time, moved up to Denver, met some cool guys out here, kind of a Muslim community, and they kind of embraced me, you know, as like not even a son, not even a father figure, just a brother. Like, hey,
Yeah.
what's up, man? Like, what's going on? And that genuineness kind of, I took to that. And now, kind of like you, Sean, when I see somebody on the streets or when I encounter somebody, I make sure to show that same type of endearment. What's up, man? What's going on? How you feeling?
Right.
You know, same thing with the kids. When I was working in the school system, hey, hit me up when you need something. You need a ride, you need food, clothes, whatever. Let me know something. You got problems with old girl? Come holler at me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Trying to be that example because we didn't have it. And now I find myself not looking for a father figure, but looking for that example at times. I'm being the example, but I also like to take more in to build myself even more. Because I mean, again, we're raised to be F boys and, you know, get as many women as we can and the clothes, you know, and I got tired of that because it was like, bro, I'm not really even experiencing any genuineness with relationships, with women, learning how to be a father figure when it's time to have kids, learning how to take care of my moms, you know, interact with my friends. You know, I'm not gonna say my friends were terrible, but we could all be better. You know what I'm saying? Fitz. You know what I'm saying? So, man, you gotta heal. You really gotta confront that stuff, and it ain't gotta be no kumbaya. It's just more of like, yeah, I carried that. It's messed up. What can I do about it now? How can I turn that into a positive and take that and fuel something else and make sure the generations after me don't have to experience it so intensely because they're going to experience a little bit of it, right? That's just kind of, you know, secondary trauma. But how can I intervene in that process now? And, you know, me and Fitz, we've been tight for a long time, and seeing him get into marriage, have kids, all those things, because he's probably one of my closest friends, and it's inspirational. We have couple talks all the time, and I'll ask him hella questions about, you know, you know what's been going on. But you know, I'm grateful for him and you as well, Sean, because you know you ain't been here but a few times, but the genuineness that comes with it. It's not even the game; it's just more of who you are as a person. That's what I really appreciate, man.
I don't know how I found the YouTube, but when I seen it, I said, "Now I'm gonna plug in. Now I'm gonna just, I don't know what's gonna come from it, but I just appreciate the content."
Fitz be out here triggering people, man.
And the comments are really why I really like, man, why
crazy, man.
I tried to keep up with all the comments, but there's like 300 comments on one of them posts, and it's like they be coming after me on this reparation stuff. They want blood now. At this point, they want blood. I'm convinced.
And you need to, and why? Who gonna pay for it? Like,
right. All I literally did was go like this into a camera.
Right.
On one of the videos, I'm just like,
and they ready for it. They got the smoke for you.
Right. They ready. But I do want to ask one final question of both of you. And I want it to sound very enlightening, so I'm still trying to think of it. I want to ask a very deep, thought-provoking question to close it out.
Okay.
So let me think.
You don't have some good ones. That last one was a good one.
Yeah, that last one was dope.
All right. Okay. Would you rather be a great father or a great husband?
Jeez.
That's tough.
I would rather be a great husband. because as I think about the relationship with my wife, by default, the fruits of that will create everything else. If my wife is moving in her purpose and you know and like I never met her before, but like, you know, but I just when I think about me seeing her, I smile because I'm like in this season of her life, she's just so like, and I appreciate because there were moments where she wasn't. And I'm thinking about everything else in her life coming together because this woman is like is in a great space. And I hate tooting my horn, but for the sake of our conversation, I did it, yo. I did that. That's me. I did that. So I feel like if the kids were there by default, they would see it. They would, you know, I would be it. My wife could be a great spouse to me, a great mom to the, you know, versus the other way around. Oh man, the kids would love me in essence, but my spouse, that's the ugh, that in my brain is creates a whole bunch of toxic stuff. Oh, that goes way beyond the kids because now that goes to her going to work. Now that goes to me being a son, me being a brother, me being a. I just feel like you know when it started with me being a good husband, everything else falls under that umbrella to me. Final answer.
What
I'd
about
say,
you?
I'd say the same. I'm not a husband or a father right now, but I would envision myself to be a husband. Just being raised by a single mother, I think it could have helped out a lot. For my mom to experience true, genuine love, to have somebody to help out with raising a kid, because raising a kid is probably one of the hardest things that mothers have to do in this world. Dads too, because I know there's single dads out there as well. But I think that's connected. I think being a great husband will eventually turn you into a great father because of the support that you have from the woman, whether it's girlfriend, wife, whatever. I think in order to get to that point, you have to be a great husband to be a great father. I think husband and wife are connected in the way they upbring a child as well. So for me, I want to experience genuine love. I want to experience a genuine connection, and then create life when it comes to that point. You have good fathers out here that are co-parents. I mean, I think most of the Black community is many of them are co-parents. You know what I mean? And that's cool. Great fathers, that's dope. But I think that's kind of a cop out at times because it's like you treat me good, but you don't treat my mom good.
Yeah.
She was good enough to have sex with and have a kid with, but now she's nothing.
Yeah.
So then again, it goes. Then it turns into the resentment. You treat my mom like shit. See, I said a kid who got a co-parent home. You know what I'm saying? He's always gonna take more to the mom than the pops because it's like I can see you. Mom can tell me that you a piece of shit, but I can see what you're doing. So I think it's a little bit more. And I think being a great father, if you're gonna be a great father to your kids, that means you need to be all around. You need to show them what a man is. Just because you buy me stuff don't really mean anything. You take care of me, cool. You're supposed to. That's your job. But what about my moms? What about my siblings?
Yeah.
What message do you want to get across? So, what about yourself? Well, shout out Big Rob.
So for me, and I'll give a little backstory as to why I asked that question because so many Black men in the Black community are missing fathers, it can feel really good to, now that you're a father, like when you have a kid, you think that that's your only role. Like you're living vicariously through your child. Like there are some people who they didn't get J's when they were a kid, so now they have to buy their kids J's, even though they don't have the money for it. So I see the same thing happening in the Black community if we're not careful, where it's like a lot of Black men didn't grow up with fathers. And so now that they're a child, they gravitate more towards being a father versus a husband. It's just good because that's a step up. I didn't have my dad, but I'm in my kid's life. So that's a step up from what I have. But then they don't see the full picture of like the complete is being with your family and having like the mom and the dad. So it's like that's something that I think a lot of Black men have to be aware of as well, is that you weren't necessarily missing a wife when you were growing up, but you were missing a father. And now that you're a father, it's like that can take the place of realizing you need a unit, pretty much. And but for me, I would say being a better husband, like being the husband. I'm with y'all, being the husband. And the insight in there, I think, is like you're a husband before you're a husband. Like that's kind of how I like to think of it. Is like the things that make you a great husband are typically things that you had in you before you were a husband. Maybe not all the way. There's definitely a learning process as you go. But it's like if you were a blank slate and you were trying to train, like, should I be a great father or a great husband? Like you said, being a great husband will take care of everything else default. So as Black men, I think the aim should be, how can I, when I'm a teenager, when I'm a young man or whatever, how can I be the best husband to somebody one day? And everything else will fall into place. Because if you train to be a great entrepreneur, that may not make you a great husband. If you train to be a great father, that may not make you a great husband. And as a matter of fact, you could be a great father, but if you don't have a good relationship with your wife or whatever, the child may see you as a bad father, even though you may be in the relationship. So definitely think that the gold standard is being a great husband, and everything else kind of falls underneath that. And Sean, you could probably speak to this. Like being a husband, I think makes you a better man. Like, like there's so many things that you learn about yourself and things that challenge you that you can only get through being a husband.
Yeah. Patience.
Especially patience. It's like
patience, man.
I'm used to just going, and you just saying whatever comes to my mind. But you can't really do that with a wife if you want it to last, because it's like she's not going for that.
My commitment with my wife allows me to have commitment in my business, which allows me to have commitment with my coaching. A lot of the deals that I do when I get outside capital, even though I want to get more, and I know I'm not getting more because of I look how I look. But the reason why a lot of men give me a chance is because when we start talking about marriage, that's not a black-white thing. That's all of us thing. Right. And when I say, yeah, man, we've been together, 13, 14 years. And then we start going through that conversation, they understand that I'm just a man trying to support my family. But what I think, just for me going through deals and then like, man, how did that work? They trust me because my wife trusts me on some level. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. If I have a long-term marriage, then they can trust me with a long-term business relationship. They can park their money inside my company because I've been with Peanut Head. I call my wife Peanut Head. I've been with Peanut Head for 14 years, 20 together, so like my personality is not to get something and then roll out. Get something and it don't work and I'm out. My personality is to work it out. It is when it gets real difficult to figure it out, to figure out the answer, and that bodes well for business. Because the reason why and I hate saying this out loud, but the reason why I feel like I do well in business is because I don't allow no, if that makes sense. Like I always say, as long as I got a phone, I could bang out 1,000 calls in a week. I'm gonna close a deal. Like I can hear 999 no's. If I get that one yes, that's 10,000. That's 1 week. And if I do that every week of the month, that's 40,000. Like my brain works that way. So that's how my marriage works. My wife is a gang member. She's pretty, she's dainty. She's a gang member. Like she is a thug. And she abuses me. Like people think it's like, oh, because she don't look like, but I'm like, no, she abuses me. But I say that and I laugh about it. And I say that to say like, she keeps me in check. She keeps me in check. She allows me to be a business owner but she don't let me get too far into my business. If I get too much at the office, where you at? I need you. And if I'm in an important call, and this I call the bat phone. The bat phone ring. I gotta hold on, sir. You good? Like I have to make sure she's straight. But she trained me that way. That wasn't how it started out. And I almost lost my wife so many times putting work above her.
Mm-hmm.
I said train. That sounds I don't know how it sounds out loud.
That's
She
true.
encouraged me to think about other people when I'm working. So I think I should earn more money than what I do now, but I have to be a good husband. And for me, I don't want to sacrifice what we built for money. So I get so far, and then I battle back. That's okay. I gotta make sure the wife is straight. I gotta make sure the home is straight. I gotta make sure, because if I keep going, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep figuring out and challenging myself to do something different. But then I'm gonna go home and be mad when she mad. And check out that arrogance, to be mad when she mad.
Mm-hmm.
And all she wants is for me to check in on her. And then I'm like, nah, but you need to. I'm getting the bag. Nah, shut up, Sean. Don't do that. Don't do that. Every time you get a break, call that woman. So it's like I'm saying that talking to me, but whoever can hear this can pull some stuff that I've learned. Like what they say, Hov did that. So hopefully, y'all ain't gotta go through the stuff I've been through. I'm like, man, do not go through my bumps. Pull. My minister always says, "True to me, spit the bone." Whenever somebody is saying something that somebody agree with, it might not be 100%, but shoot the stuff that makes sense, and spit out what don't make sense. But when I started to apply that, shoot the meat, spit the bones, my life got better because I wasn't trying to combat people and trying to be right. I just try to pull the good stuff from Fitz and pull the good stuff from Ty and pull the good stuff from like everybody got good stuff. Instead of me focus on the bad, and not bad, but the stuff that I don't agree with, I pull the good stuff. So now I'm super dope because I'm a little bit of all y'all. I'm a little bit of all y'all. Check me out. So anyway, I'm not gonna keep that. Gonna be redundant, but I don't know if that answered your question.
No, definitely. And I think we covered everything. I'm good with everything. And any closing words? Last minute quotes?
I think a quote that I heard recently. This is just for men in general. A woman actually told me this was crazy because I'm counseling with her son. Evil can exist when men do good things, and that's kind of been like that's just been in the back of my mind, just sitting with me like every day. I don't know what it is about it, and I'm gonna have to figure out what is it about that quote that just it's got a hold on me. But with that, I don't even know where I was going with that. But that quote's been sitting with me, and it's been kind of a driver to be a better man, to be a better man in society, my own community, with my mom's relationships, whatever. Just be the best version that you can be with all the stuff that's going on right now. That's what we need is men doing good things. Good men out here inspiring other men to step up with their families, with their communities, whatever the case may be, and changing the world, man, being like it used to be. Because I grew up in the 90s, so everything was a little bit different back then versus now. And I'm just like, what the hell has happened? Like, take me back. Take me back and leave me there. Hey, I ain't doing that no more. But yeah, man, that's just a quote that's been sitting with me for a little while. I don't know what it is, but man, it's got a damn chokehold of me. I can't get it out of my head.
Nice. That's deep.
I like that. That's real deep. I like the thing, and I don't know where it came from, but I say a lot. Fall in love with the process. Wait, am I saying this right? Fall in love with the process, not the end result. And that can apply to a lot of things, to sports, to business, to marriage, to relationship. But what I mean is like everything in my life is a process. And when I was younger, I used to focus on the end result. I want to get a girl. I want to get a lot of money. But then what would happen is that when that wouldn't happen the way that I thought it would in my head, I would get pushed off my square. I would get off track because I'm focusing on the end result. And as I got older and started to look back and really mentor people, and they asked me, "Hey, what can I really focus on in myself?" They would ask me, and I say, "Man, just fall in love with the process, not the result. Fall in love with everything you're going through now. Fall in love with that, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. For me, I'm in the journey, and I'm appreciating the journey. I have a fugitive detective on my phone, wants me to turn myself in. I don't have a warrant. I don't know what I did. I have people that's disparaging my name. I have people that's trying to just get in the way of me incorporating this city. My process is the stuff that I'm doing is dark. Like the stuff that people trying to stop. If I was younger, I would get thrown off by that, and I would be like, "Man, I can't do this no more." But because I appreciate the process, I'm getting buffalo wings every night, man. I'm I'm chilling because the process is super dope. And what I'm really appreciate, even going down to Florida and we was down there for 2 days, going down there, buying a house, coming back, like it's hard, but it's the process. And for me to be able to learn all the stuff that I'm learning and be able to turn around and help people, man, that for me, that's the part that I really dive into is the process. None of us have all the answers. I surely don't. I'm still trying to live tax free. And it's hard. That's why I understand what you were saying, and you're right. But my brain's like, yeah, we gotta learn why taxes are going. We gotta control that. Because if we control that 35, 40, 50%, and we can put that money back into our household, man, we so I'm saying all that to say my journey and all of this stuff, I love it. And um if anybody's watching, I know I'll be rambling a lot, but what I want people to get from whatever I'm saying is like any one of us can be anything that we want to be. We just can't focus on the end result. We have to be okay with getting in a fight. We gotta be okay with getting knocked down. My wife, she don't cuss me out, but she cuss me out once a week, or once a day, if I'm being real with y'all. I gotta take that. I gotta take that. I gotta learn from that. I gotta go in the world. And I'm not gonna say there's no white supremacy. I gotta go in the world and fight white supremacy. I gotta go, and my sister is trying to get me to have a job, and I'm like, baby, I make more than everybody in our family put together, but I can't say that because that's mean, and that's like,
Mhm.
and I got cousins that are like, yo, I can get you in the government, and I got people that's like, my cousins are like, when we talking on the back channel, I'm like, yo, we put 100 each, and we gotta, and nobody want to participate, and I still gotta get up, dust myself off, and move forward, because I have a vision in my head. And if nobody want to come with me, I still got to get there. And I got to get there and smile, and I got to get there and I got to joke, and I got to get there and appreciate Black people along the way. And I can't be petty. I'm a cancer. I'm a petty cancer. And I'm going to be petty. Side note. But I'll be petty, and I still come back. I got to turn around, and I got to put my hand up and say, I got that. I can show y'all how to get to where I'm at. And then we can get to over here together. Um, but for me, I appreciate collaboration at this part of my life, and I encourage Black men specifically to be okay with collaboration. It ain't got to be your ship. It ain't got to be it could be all of ours. It could be all of our shit, man. You drive, I sleep, you navigate, and we rotate. Right? But we going to the same destination. You have 33%, I got 33, so and so got 33, and we building it. And one day we gonna sell it. And one day, like my brain's like that. Building equity. I don't believe in fairness. I believe in equity. Black men creating equity. We got to get out our feelings and get into some books and figure out how people are doing it and duplicate their process. Specifically, people like Fitz and Ty. Mimic them.
Yes, and Sean,
Shout
mimic
out to y'all,
Sean.
man.
So I'll close it off by saying, for me, and those are two very powerful insights. And for me, just living with the mindset that your success is your responsibility. I think that that's big, and I think much like we were talking about earlier with the being a great husband, everything else falls underneath that by default. I think when you take accountability for your success and realize no matter what happens in your life, no matter what we went through as a people, that your success is your responsibility, everything else falls into place, because it's like, if that's the standard, you're going to give 100%. it doesn't matter whether Joe Biden gets elected or Trump, or if this is going on, or they raise the interest rates, or they do this and do that, or you lost your job. Your success is your responsibility. If your job isn't paying you enough and you want to earn more, your first thought isn't going to be, they're not paying me enough. It's like, why did I put my financial freedom in someone else's hands? Like that's a mindset shift. So I think once you realize your success is your responsibility, it opens up doors and it takes the limiters off. And now it's about taking on as much as you can to get where you want. So that's it for me. That's it for me. But I do want to thank both of y'all. And also thank you for the viewers. I know a lot more people are going to watch the replay versus the live. That's kind of where we're at right now. But few announcements, like I said in the beginning, going to be dropping more content, going to be posting more. And also make sure you check out the merch store. The information is in the link, in the description. And also give me some ideas. Like I just be shooting ideas off Ty and stuff, but I do skits too. Like I'm always looking for ideas for skits. I'm looking for ideas for just content in general. So comment stuff or whatever. I could do everything except sing, pretty much. That's the only thing.
Are you at home? Is that your home office, or are you in the actual office?
I'm in my home office.
Okay. I was going to tell you to get a. Do you have an office that you go to that's yours, or you go to like if you want to work on your stuff, you just do that at the house?
Like the skits or like content?
Right, the skits. Yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much, I want to go to different environments, like walking like at a park or maybe somewhere else like that, depending on the skit. But for the most part, I pretty much just do it in my office.
Okay. My brain always goes to scale. How can we scale whatever we're doing? So I'm even as far as getting a small office space, getting some $600-700 a month, and getting some lights, getting some mics, getting some backdrops, getting some cameras, and then lease that space out to other area, and that way you can make passive income while you work. And then when you do your stuff, it's going to be dope. But you can create an environment because you do skits. You can create an environment for another content creator that's local to you. And I can help you. I can help you run ads. I can help you put stuff, as far as where to put the ads, where they find them. I like to find people. I have a network with people off of what's called Fiverr, www.fiverr.com, I think.
Yeah, I've been on Fiverr.
Okay, bet. So a lot of people, though, when you tell them what you need, they'll market you to the right people that's looking for you. But a lot of times, man, it's just about finding a space. And I don't care where, because I'm looking at a space in Florida. We just got the house. I'm probably going to just get an office space. It's going to be small, like this one, maybe 300 square feet. But even in here, tomorrow we're going to Best Buy. We're going to get the mics. We're going to black out the windows. And then the week after that, we're going to start getting people coming in doing their podcasts, like doing it, and then we're going to be doing it like I think Terrance said $100 an hour, 2 hour minimum, and we're going to start booking it, and then that's going to pay for the space, the literal space, and that's going to be so literally, no matter what I do, whenever I come back and it's my time, like I work at night. When I say I'm coming to my office, I wasn't playing. I come to my office at night. I got a lot of people that on the West Coast. So they 3 hours behind where I'm at. So I'm about to hit the phone. But during the daytime, it's empty. So this should be making me money. Like I was saying, as far as the asset versus liability. Am I paying for it, or is that paying me? And my mindset is always, how do I get money from this? Because I'm never against nobody paying for something. But I'm always for us figuring out how to make money from what we have. And even she left now, but Monday through Friday, I got a whole receptionist. I pay $1,000 for this space, and if somebody called my phone, it's going to say, "Thank you for calling BW Acquisitions. How can I direct your call?" So when they call me, they like, "Wait a minute, who is this Sean person?" I'm regular, y'all, but the setup is what I'm talking about. It looks a certain way. When they get my emails, info@, when they get my phone numbers, 1-855. Everything that I do would look like a company. And I'm not saying look like it's not one, but I'm saying everything that I do has a value that's going to come back to me. So I'm saying that to anybody, whatever y'all do, find a way where I'm saying we because I'm already a part of y'all, but we can do a residual setup. How can we make money off whatever it is? You know, I'm an investor and I can hire other investors. I got phones. I can hire a call center, but I also can hire somebody that just want to lease out a space. I don't want to be here full time, but I can sublease my office. The same way I sublease my apartment for Airbnb. The same way I sublease, like there's certain terms in business where it's like it's for us to make money. I can't help you on the content because that's your bag. I can plug you in with my wife. My wife is creative. But as far as how to monetize it, we can lock in and I can help you. Look, we can log in ASAP. You can make money tomorrow because my brain is always how to build it, how to build a profitable operation that don't need you. Because my thing is a lot of people think of business, it's like I work for myself. But they don't understand that's being self-employed. Business is when I can walk away from this office in Annapolis, I can go to Florida and I'm still making money. I'm still getting deposits because my office works without me. I got an office manager. And yes, it's a payroll. Yes, it's, that stuff costs money. My point is, I think about what Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Cash Flow Quadrant, and Who Moved My Cheese and other books like that. It's like thinking like a business. My company's not like Jeff Bezos, but there's no reason why I can't build the structure like that. So that's what I'm saying to everybody. Just build our structure. I don't care what your product is. My wife is a birth doula, right? So she, in theory, gets paid from going to do births. Because she's one person, she can only do 2 births a month. So she maxed out at two clients. So, her beef in the beginning was like, I'm going to burn myself out because I'm only one person. I can't maximize being the birth doula. Well, her company, Blossom Beginnings, has 5 doulas. She's one of them, but she has 5 separate doulas. And so when she gets a phone call, now she can give the other people clients and she gets the override. So now we can be in Florida and Blossom Beginnings is still getting money. And now she's buying daycares in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. So like Blossom Beginnings is more than just Heron. So like that's the thing when we think about building an actual organization, we have to remove ourselves. And that might not be an easy answer, but my gifting is being able to just bounce ideas and trying to figure out how to remove you. And it might not be an easy answer, but I don't believe there's no answer. And I believe building wealth is getting on the right side of that cash flow quadrant. On the business and the business and the investing side. That's why I keep saying my wife, I'm so proud of her. Because y'all don't know how many times she wanted to quit just being the birth doula. And nobody, a lot of times it's a thankless job. Nobody's like, she's literally helping families give birth. Fighting the system in the birth room. But then it's like, then they got the birth and the baby comes, and then she comes. I pick her up, and then she's exhausted. She sleeps for like 18 hours, and then it's like nobody give her thank you. Nobody. Like, there's no. Not saying she needed, but I'm saying like for that type of work and training.
Right.
So she was going to quit many times. It's like, but so I told her, I don't care if you quit, but Blossom Beginning should still be a profitable company. And it took her a long time to really figure out what I was saying. Because even though that's my wife, I sleep with her, she still has to understand what I'm saying to her. It's not given because she's my wife. She still has to read the books that I give her. She still has to research what I'm saying to her. It's not given. And it took her a long time. But like I'm saying even now, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, she's going to a family. She's an in-home postpartum doula for 8 hours. So now she has a guaranteed contract with a family. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She has a second contract for Tuesday and Thursday. So she went from being a birth doula, making money one way, and now she has 4 or 5 different SKUs in Blossom Beginnings. So now I think her happiness comes from her not being so stressed out and strapped, having to support this family, that family. So if I can do that with a birth doula that has limited SKUs, my brain, man, I don't care what y'all do. As long as we lock in, we can figure out how to bring SKUs to your company to remove you, but make sure that your LLC is getting money. And that could be a grant, that could be, business credit, whatever that look like. But we just have to get good at building companies and not being self-employed. We have to.
Are you
I'm
on
sorry
Instagram?
for going on my way. I'm not. I can give my number now if you got a pen. I give my number right now.
Do you? Because are you okay with people online
Okay.
hearing it?
Yeah,
Oh.
I do this. I do this full time. Yeah, this isn't a thing for me. I'm literally locked in with people all the time. So this is my literal cell phone. 443-875-3481. And this is the phone my wife. This is the bat phone as I call it. So when y'all text me or call me, this is gonna come to me directly because I gotta answer it or she's gonna beat me up. I'm giving you my real number. If y'all shoot me a text and let me know who y'all are, we can build offline. But I'm trying to tell y'all, my brain is like my brain can't think small. I try to think small and it don't work. I'm like, man, but if you get the office space and then you rent it out and then I'm already like plugging and playing and like anyway. And again, I don't care what the SKU is. I don't care what you do. Because again, we can go to www.bizbuysell.com. That's www.biz bizbuysell.com, and you can buy a realty company. You can buy a therapist company. And I'm saying you as, of course, you got to do a company first. But I'm saying they have where not like you can, and don't look at your account and say, man, I can't afford that, because they have something called owner finance when you buy a company. So what does that mean? That means when you own a finance, that means the owner will take on the debt. So if they're asking for $700,000, that number look big. It's like I ain't got 700,000, but then it says we accept owner finance. So what does that mean? That means that you can say, hey, Mr. Business Owner, I'm gonna give you 4% of that 750 down, and then we're gonna space out the rest of it over 15 years, 20 years. And and then it's like that's a literal contract. It's called owner finance or seller finance, where you put down a certain percentage up front and space out the rest, and then you literally you control the company. You don't own it outright. But I have a lot of realty companies that I control, and I get the cash flow every Friday. I get paid. I don't own it per se, but the cash flow. And I'm saying I don't own it because I didn't pay it off. I'm still paying on the company the same way they do, rent to own laptops, rent to own whatever they do. I don't know what they do, but the same way they do that rent to own businesses. Like we got to keep thinking bigger. We got to keep thinking for the people that's like that rap that's an artist. My nephew was a rapper, and he used to always say, "Uncle Sean, you don't support me." And I said, "Big dog, I ain't gonna be the uncle of a rapper. I refuse to. You're not gonna be on World Star being a monkey. I'm not doing that with you. Like I'm not. I didn't work this hard for you to be a damn fool."
Yeah.
And we had contention. That's the way. Anyway, we had not beef. He didn't appreciate my stance. My point was, I don't want you to be a rapper. There's no money in rapping. I want you to understand the music business because it's the music business. Understand how to do publishing. Understand how to start a label. Understand how to sign somebody. Understand what splits are. Understand what a sync is. Understand this stuff. You still can rap, but own a label, own a production company. All your friends around you, sign your friend to a producer deal. You ain't gotta take all their publishing, do 50-50, or do whatever you want to do, but structure it in a way where you can still do your love, but it's a business. So fast forward, he has a company. He has a literal company. He signed all of his friends, and he stopped rapping. Come to find out, my man, he stopped rapping. Not that he fell out of love with rapping, but he wanted to get more into like the business side of how do I grow it. There's a thing, and I'll text it to y'all because there's a site called someroyalty.com. I'm gonna text it to y'all where we can buy royalties of our favorite artists. And literally, when I text y'all this link, I don't know who y'all like as far as rappers, but Taryn, my wife, she likes the Maya, singer Maya.
Mm-hmm.
So for her 40th birthday, I bought her Maya's catalog, her first album, because it was for sale. And they had Sean Kingston's song, they had Rihanna. What's that song with Drake? Her early song with Drake, they had the instrumental, the one with Rihanna and Drake, the one with Rihanna by herself, 3 different, as they call SKUs. So when Rihanna did the Super Bowl, I didn't know she was going to do it. Side note, when Rihanna did the Super Bowl, she didn't do that song, but everybody was going to stream her past catalog. So there was a bump in the song that I own. Well, Taryn owns. Can be clear, I don't own it. It's my wife. But my point is, when you own their catalog, I don't want to say it's going to sound mean. If somebody gets shot, like not Takeoff, what's the other dude? Offset.
Mm-hmm.
The Migos. Like imagine who owns the Migos catalog when that man gets shot. And this sounds bad. Side note, right? I fully understand that. But in music, you got to understand music is an asset. That catalog is an asset. So what's going to make it bump up, spike up? A death, Super Bowl, just like something has to happen. When you own somebody's catalog, again, an asset, something that doesn't pull money from you, something that puts money in your pocket. So all I did was create, and Taryn is 95% and I'm 5%. Everything that I'm telling you, I have I believe in creating companies for it. I may have a small percentage or a big one, but I'm creating equity for myself and my family. My point is I'm buying catalogs. So when y'all see Future sold his catalog for 100 mil, Lil Wayne sold it, Justin Bieber, so that's what we're doing, buying catalogs. Y'all can do it. It's not just for people, it's not just for like venture capital. If we all put money together, or at least had a company where we can get capital, we can go shopping for our favorite artist catalog. So that way when somebody's selling their catalog, if y'all say, hey man, the Migos is up for sale. I don't like the Migos, but if y'all did, let's get it. And granted, they're not dead yet. They're not gone at all. But the idea is when we own it, now why that's important to me. Because there's something called meta that's coming down the pipe. So now when my meta stuff is about metaverse, has music in it. It's not music because I own it. I own the licensing. I own the syncing. What does sync mean? When somebody want to put that into a commercial, they got to hit me up. And I don't know all this stuff. My lawyer does it for me. My point is, I didn't make the music. I can't rap. I can't do a hot 16. I own the IP though. So as long as I own the IP, they gotta run it through me, and I gotta approve samples, approve the performances, approve. So it's like I'm creating, and again, these are assets. These are stuff that whether I'm in Florida, Maryland, where y'all at, Texas, where Colorado, wherever I'm doing, I'm still making money on the back end without having to pay something. Every month I do a new LLC with a realty company. I have 42 realty companies right now. I got to do another one on Monday. Literally 42 new ones. That's 42 EI, 42 DUNS numbers, profiles. So why do I have so many? Good question, Sean. Because they're all separate credit profiles. So if I pull 500,000 from 10 LLCs, that's 500,000 times 10. I have access to whatever that, my math is something. I suck at math. Whatever that is, I own all of it. So if I want to pull 500,000 from 10 LLCs, I can take all that money and go buy a 50-unit, multi-unit in y'all state. And I'm saying me, but I'm saying we all can do it, not just me. I'm saying how we can leverage, so when I'm talking all my stuff and I'm being confident, they can't cut me off because I pay me. That's why I say hire myself. I talk too much stuff to get a job from somebody. I be talking too reckless to go for an application and say, please hire me. They ain't gonna do it. They're gonna get me out of here. So I gotta make sure that I'm creating a pathway where I can pay myself. And again, $12 an hour, $11 an hour. But if I got 10 LLCs paying me $10 an hour every Friday, it sounds crazy when somebody say, why do you make it, $11 an hour? I don't always tell them, but I got 42 companies paying $12 an hour every Friday. So literally every Friday I'm getting paid, $15,000 a Friday for my salary. But it all starts from one. Start with that one company. Go to whatever y'all want to use. For a payroll company. Hire yourself, put your social security in, make sure you're getting paid for you. And then build that company up. And if it's every quarter, every year, however long it takes for you to build that company up, do it. But then do your second company, do your third company, do your fourth company. Once you figure it out, keep doing it. Because that's how we build wealth. It's not off one company. It's not off a job. And people want to hear this, of course. I'm not against a job. And people always say I hate jobs. I don't hate jobs. I hate taxes. Sean pays more taxes than BW Acquisitions does. Sean gets $12 an hour. I pay more taxes a year than my company that earns $2 million a year. How? Why is that? Because the government says I can. Not because Sean says it. The IRS has so many tax codes for a company that they don't have for W-2 workers. I'm still a worker. That's how I get my insurance for me and Terrance. I still play the game. But what I'm saying is that I can acknowledge that I'm paying a lot of taxes, and I'm $12 an hour. So imagine those are getting $25 an hour, $30 an hour. Imagine the sports players. Imagine our favorite sports athletes in Cali, 51% taxes, right? And imagine them playing the people that's paying basketball or football. They pay taxes in every city that they play in. They in Colorado one week, and they in Texas, and they in. Imagine their tax bracket is crazy. That's why you can't. And I'm saying you can't. Of course, you can't build wealth. But the reason why I'm saying that is because our sports players show us they have multi-million-dollar contracts, and they're not building wealth. And it is because they don't understand. It's not the literacy. They don't get it. I get that part. But my point is, I've seen people make 50 million and blow it. So when I'm seeing somebody make 100,000, I can't receive that. I can't receive it because I've seen Mike Tyson blow 50 million. I've seen it. I've seen my ball players blow it. So I can't receive somebody making 50,000 like I'm building wealth. Maybe. Okay. Maybe. But that's not how the country's set up. I'm not saying all that to discourage. I'm saying all that to say we have to learn the game. We have to learn the game. And when we learn the game, we have to take it serious because that's wealth. That's our kids. That's our entire. You say you don't have a wife yet and kids yet. People online are always like, I want a black man that has money, blah blah blah. Imagine when you come to the table and you got your companies and you got your equity, and you got your you come in, and I say you're not like that now. I'm saying like that's how you get there.
Facts.
And I say you don't get there now because I believe in everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the system is set up a certain way that I didn't build. It was like that before I got here. It's going to be like that if I'm gone. So we have to learn the system to be able to implement it in our lives, to be able to teach it to our people coming after it. I'm sorry, I get long-winded. I apologize for you.
No, you're good. You're good. That was a lot of value.
I'm about teaching.
I'm gonna let y'all go. We'll probably have a deeper conversation on entrepreneurship as well on a different episode. And you're welcome to come up as well and kind of give some insights. Because and I'm definitely gonna hit you up.
Make sure you text me.
Okay, I'll hit you up sometime this weekend or next week, and we could set something up. Because I'm all ears.
I got a calendar link I'll send y'all too, where y'all can whenever y'all want to tap in, I'll send y'all a link, and it has my calendar already set up, so y'all can just plug in whenever y'all free. Y'all can change the time zone. So whatever time zone y'all are in, you can change it, pick the time. It'll come out my phone, and it's for an hour, and that way I'll come to I'll come in the car, come to the office, and we'll plug in and we'll tap in. We'll figure out whatever y'all want. We'll figure it out.
For sure.
Okay, for sure.
I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a great night.
Yes, for sure, man. Y'all take care.
All
right, you too. Appreciate it.
All right.